What we have with Israel is a very special relationship. We have a shared history with Israel that stretches back to the 1930s, as you mentioned. And we have what we call an enduring friendship, which started even before both states became independent. As you well know, in the late 1930s, Commonwealth President Manuel Quezon started an open-door policy for accepting Jewish refugees who were escaping the Holocaust in Europe into the Philippines. The Philippines was one of only a few countries in the world that accepted Jewish refugees. And this is something that we should be proud of. And the Philippines did it purely for humanitarian reasons. The second important aspect of our historic relations was the Philippine vote at the United Nations for the partition plan for Palestine, which paved the way for the creation of the State of Israel. The Philippines was the only Asian country that voted in favor of the partition plan. So you can say that we had a hand in the creation of the Jewish state of Israel. Yes. Thanks to those two pivotal events in our shared history with Israel, there is a tremendous amount of goodwill between our two nations, our two governments, and our two peoples. This is the reason why Filipinos can go to Israel without a visa for tourism purposes. And this is the reason why there is development cooperation between Israel and the Philippines, and why the president is visiting Israel. He will be the first Philippine president to visit Israel in the 61 years of our diplomatic relations, ever since diplomatic relations were established in 1957. I'm very happy to say that in the last few years, we have broadened the areas of cooperation between our two countries. Halimbawa, sa larangan ng labor o paggawa, we have around 29,000 Filipinos living and working in Israel. Around 24,000 of them are caregivers, taking care of the elderly in Israel and disabled children. So in a way, you can say that we are helping Israel cope with an aging population. And we are very happy to report that the labor conditions in Israel are some of the best in the Middle East. Our workers here receive the highest minimum wage in all of the Middle East. And they have days off, they have the right to worship and practice their faith. And as you know, this is the Holy Land. No? It's a special place for Filipino Christians. And they're having a very good time here, no? And enjoying their work, even though it's a very difficult and demanding type of work, caregiving. We also have a logistics agreement with Israel in defense procurement, in the acquisition of defense equipment. And this has helped us improve our the military capability in counterterrorism, which is an important aspect of our security. And we are also trying to diversify our sources of supply of defense equipment. And this is important if we are to pursue an independent foreign policy. And Israel is one of many countries that are providing military equipment, especially for our counterterrorism capability program. As I said earlier, we are very fortunate that the labor conditions in Israel are some of the best in the Middle East, and therefore the rights and welfare of our workers are promoted and protected by the Israeli government itself. So, which makes our job at the embassy so much easier. It's very different from the condition of our workers in other parts of the Middle East, as you well know. But we do provide regular services to them. We provide them with post-arrival orientation seminar. We inform them about the unique culture of the Jews in Israel and the importance of respecting religious practices in this country. And we also make sure that we provide assistance to nationals, to those who need emergency assistance. And lastly, we have been helping in negotiating a bilateral labor agreement in Israel to make sure that our workers are not charged illegal and exorbitant, even exploitative, illegal placement fees and recruitment fees. Well, the president won by a landslide in the last elections in Israel, and they're very excited. And I promised them that the president would eventually come when his trip was postponed last year. He was supposed to come in May of last year, but because of the Marawi incident, he had to postpone his overseas travel. And so this is a fulfillment of that promise. And they're very excited, they're ecstatic, and we expect a very good crowd when the president meets the Filipino community upon his arrival on Sunday. Because of the limitations of space, we are expecting around 1,400 only. We consider this visit extremely important. We consider it a historic visit, and we hope to transform this historic relationship and this enduring friendship into a more vibrant and stronger partnership. That is why we have identified several areas of cooperation to pursue during this visit. One of them is in labor cooperation. So we expect a bilateral labor agreement to be signed for caregivers. This hopefully will ensure that the exploitative placement fees that are being charged our workers will be substantially reduced, if not eliminated. It will be a government-to-government agreement. So private recruitment agencies will no longer be involved in the recruitment process. So that's one. The second one is in science and technology. Israel, as you know, is known as the startup nation. It is known for its innovation and its very advanced software and technology. And this is something that we can learn from and that we can partner with Israel. Aside from that, the president is bringing a big business delegation with him. And this is one area, the economic sphere, which is very much underdeveloped in our relationship with Israel. So I think the president wants to improve our economic relationship, especially the areas of trade and investment. And we expect around 13 to 15 bilateral private sector agreements to be signed. There will be a business forum for the business delegation, and the president will be keynoting this event during his visit here in Israel. Well, we consider this a new phase of our relationship with Israel. This is an important landmark visit. No Philippine president before ever dared visit this country, but now things have changed. We have a very close relationship with Israel and its people, and we have a great opportunity to really maximize the potential of this relationship, which in some aspects are still quite underdeveloped. Yes. Well, the enduring friendship between Israelis and Filipinos actually started, as I said, in the late 1930s. And in 2009, the Philippine Embassy, together with the Israeli government, dedicated a monument in the city of Rishon LeZion called the Open Doors Monument to commemorate the humanitarian assistance provided by the Philippines to Jewish refugees escaping the Holocaust in the late 1930s. As you know, President Quezon allowed the entry of around 1,300 Jewish refugees. And this monument now stands in Rishon LeZion, a city close to Tel Aviv, and it has attracted a lot of attention, and it is visited by Israeli and Filipino tourists. And we expect the president to visit this important site, which symbolizes our strong friendship with the Israeli people. And it's an important part and highlight of the visit of the President. Well, there are three important pillars that form the shape of a triangle, which is a shape that you can find in both the Philippine and Israeli flags, the Star of David and the stars on the Philippine flag. And they also represent doors that are opening inward. And on the marble floor, you will see the imprint of footsteps, that of Max Weissler, one of those refugees who were allowed to enter the Philippines, and also a Holocaust survivor, and a young lady who represents the generation that was saved, no, because of the goodwill of countries like the Philippines that allowed people to escape the Holocaust. So in sum, this monument is a manifestation of this enduring friendship and the shared history between the Philippines and Israel. In 61 years of our relationship with Israel, ang ating Pangulo ng Pilipinas, at gaya ng aming pangako, sisiguraduhin natin na maraming mga agreements na importante na mapipirmahan para sa ikabubuti at sa kapakanan ng ating mga manggagawang Pilipinong caregivers dito sa Holy Land. Kasama na rito, papalalimin natin ang ating malakas na ugnayan sa bansang Israel, sa kanilang pamahalaan at sa mga Hudyo, upang sa ganon ay may sakatuparan natin ang ating parehong mga mithiin at isinusulong dito sa Middle East at sa buong mundo. Maraming salamat.